My previous job title was as an office service consultant slash technician. What is that, you may ask? Well, basically, if it was in an office environment, I was probably going to be dealing with it at some point in time. Over 21 years ago, I started working as a service technician fixing office equipment, copier, printers, typewriters, faxes, etc. The company I started working for was the local go-to for everything office-related, from furniture, equipment, supplies, and more. The closest name brand office store was a 40-minute drive over a mountain, so it was steady work. We offered local service and delivery for everything we did/sold. This was pre-Amazon days, so back then this was a big deal. After 2 years of me working there, the company expanded and merged with 2 other local businesses to include personal computers repairs, networking, phone systems, and providing dial-up service. The good old days of waiting 3 minutes or more for a web page to load. Now, prior to this merger, I had already gotten into personal computers work personally for myself and family/friends when the need arose, but with the merger, I was finally able to learn more and expand my knowledge. So now my job included all office equipment, personal computers, phone systems, and some networking. Since support service included so much, most places were sold service contracts where the customer would pay a flat monthly/quarterly/yearly rate for whatever they wanted included. You want us to deal with the copier/printers, and you'll deal with personal computers issues as needed, no problem. You want us to take care of everything electrical in the office other than the actual electrical wiring, you got it. This went on for another 2 years, and eventually a bigger company from a major city 70 miles away wanted in on all the smaller town customers they were missing out on, so they bought out the company I worked at. Basically, nothing really changed except the name on the paycheck and who had final say on things. Everything else was business as usual. Now, prior to being bought out, things were run as a local business, and that's how the customers were treated, as local customers. After about 1.5 years, the big city bosses felt that since they made big city profits, this should also apply to out local smaller town customers, so they started increasing prices on everything to match big city numbers. This went about as well as you think. Customers started seriously complaining and dropping contracts. The office supply section was dropped completely due to most folks going to the name brand store over the mountain and still saving money, as well as online ordering really starting to take off. My manager at the time had been the lead tech/service manager since I started and was on good terms with all our customers who had contracts since he maintained/sold them. He hated how things were going and knew it was a matter of time before customers dropped our services due to price hikes. He asked if I would join him as his lead tech if he started his own business, and promised me I'd eventually be service manager as the business expanded. Me being the stupid 20-something idiot I believed him and said yes. So he started his own business and cut ties with big city company. Customers eagerly jumped ship and signed back up with the local guys they had known for years, now back at local prices. The business shifted into focusing on everything office related except supplies. Our line of thinking was, we will do anything if the price is right. The boss shifted to sales and furniture while I was left to deal with everything technical. If the customer asked about something and he would say, "Sure thing, let me get you some numbers," then tell me to figure out the technical side while he'd handle the logistics. Need a security camera system for the local water treatment plant? No problem. He'd figure out the floor plan and how much cable we'd need. I would figure out what hardware was needed, cameras, digital video recorder, wireless points, etc., and how to make it all work. I worked for my manager's new business for roughly 9 to 10 years as the only technician in Dick's company. We had attempted to hire several other techs, but no one lasted more than a few months due to the sheer amount of things we worked on, the area we covered, and my boss being, well, I'll just say it, a dick. I averaged 3,000 miles a month and was working probably 50 to 60 hours a week for a 40-hour salary. With all my extra hours, I was making less than $10 an hour, losing my sanity, got 0 time off, and was generally fried from the service gig entirely. I told my boss I needed a raise to match my years of experience and actual hours put in on the job, as well as some actual time off that if I took a day off I was left the hell alone. He said, "Sure, we'll talk about it," and then ghosted me when I tried to get time to talk. I let this slide for 2 months while I started looking for another job. I got lucky and ended up going to an open house at a local manufacturing plant that makes medical equipment. After going through and seeing what they made along with the tech that was backing it, I knew I wanted to work there. I applied and got a call back in less than a week. The guy who called was very nice, and we talked for a bit after the standard corporate questions. I explained how I went to the open house and was really interested in the new tech they were developing and couldn't wait to be a part of something bigger. I think this may have genuinely gotten to him because he asked me to hold for a few minutes. He wanted to check something. When he got back on the line, he asked if I could come in for a formal interview on site in 2 days. My response was, absolutely. 2 days later, I do my in-person interview and things go just as good as the phone interview. During the interview, I explained that if I got hired, I would need at least 2 weeks to let my current employer know and give them my notice. At the end, the lead interviewer shook my hand and said, I can't officially say this today, but if I were you, I'd put in that 2-week notice. You'll be hearing from us by the end of the week with the couple of things we need finalized to get your employment started. I was overjoyed. This new job would be hourly with overtime, way better pay than my current job with shift differential, 3 paid weeks vacation, and 10 days sick time. To me, this was basically hitting the lottery. I was a field service tech for a total of 15 years. I've worked on more equipment than I can remember and enjoyed it for the most part. Mainly office equipment, personal computers and networks, but I did have the occasional phone system, camera systems, fire alarms, security doors, badge systems, remote entry systems, and more. Due to the sheer amount of different tech I dealt with, I kept very meticulous notes, made wiring diagrams, recorded master passwords or backdoors to any of the systems I didn't work with on a regular basis, and kept backups of software related to any of the installs/operations. I did this with everything unless otherwise specified by the customer, since I was going to be the guy fixing it if things went sideways. I was also in charge of training the customers on the tech. This led to me being a serious jack of all trades and some serious burnout due to being the only tech. I finally had the opportunity to switch jobs, so I put my 2-week notice in with my old job, and this is the basic conversation I had with my old boss over the phone. The cast is as follows. Dick equals old boss. Me equals hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare tout. I mean me. Dick, you're quitting? Why didn't you say something? Are unhappy with your job? Me. I did say something and you kept brushing me off. So yes, I'm unhappy. That's why I'm giving you a 2-week notice. Dick, there's no way I can get someone hired and trained to do your job in 2 weeks. What the hell am I supposed to do? You're my only tech. How am I going to take care of all my customers? Me, not really my problem. But you have 2 weeks to come up with something. I'll keep doing everything till then, but I'm out after 2 weeks. Dick, let me get back to you. I need to do some thinking. Insert eye roll and mentally thinking, no shit, Sherlock. Dick, a week later, he calls me into his office. I'm working on getting a tech. Is there any way you can stay longer than another week till I get one? Me, no, I'm not putting off the new job since it pays so much better and has actual set hours. Dick, what do you want? Tell me what I need to do to keep you around long enough till I get this new tech in. Me. Seriously? Let me think. I thought about it for roughly 5 minutes and came up with this. Me, okay, I'll tell you what. Since my new job is second shift, I'll work for you in the mornings from 9 to 2. My time starts when I leave my house at 9 and ends with me being back in town at 2, so I have time to get to my new job. You will transfer my company cell number into my own account, since I've used it for all my contacts and personal family/friends. You will pay me hourly at the same rate as my new job, including the shift differential. I get to keep my tool bag and laptop. Any emergencies will be handled in this time frame, and I will be left alone after hours and on weekends. All I really wanted was the pay and cell number. The number wasn't listed on any of Dick's company sites or paperwork, and I really didn't want to get a new number then have to update all my info I had used it for. I wasn't concerned about the laptop or the tool bag. I was just going for broke to see what I could get away with. Dick, the pay and cell number are fine, but you have to return all company property by end of week, including your tools and laptop. You can pick them up daily from the office and return them at end of day. I need access to them in case I need them to fix something. Also, you will sign a non-compete for 3 years once I get the new technician to keep you from servicing my clients. Me, okay. Deal, but the cell gets transferred by end of day tomorrow. I'll call you in the morning when I get to the cell company. Dick, deal. I shook his hand and went about my day. Now I can hear all of you flying to your keyboards to jump into the comments to go, "You idiot. You didn't get it in writing, and you are all absolutely correct." I should have gotten all that in writing. I was burnt out. I was tired. I had no more fucks to give. The next day, I got the cell number transferred over to my name and set out business as usual. Now, at the end of the week, I got what should be my last check at the old rate. I turned over my tools and laptop and had a very pleasant weekend. Monday rolls around and I work the hours I said I would, then go to my second job. I do this for the week without issue. Next week kicks off and I ask if there has been any progress on getting a tech. He says yes, they start next week. Okay, I'll start getting the new guy up to speed on our main systems next week then. Friday comes and I notice my check is still at my old rate. It's hourly now and the hours are correct but not the rate. I try to get a hold of Dick but no answer. Office lady says he's out of service till Monday and there's nothing she can do about my check. You can all see where this is heading. Monday rolls around and I meet the new tech and talk to Dick about my check. Me. So my check wasn't right and you ghosted me. Dick, what? No, I didn't ghost you. I was out of town in an area with poor reception. I'll talk to payroll and get you a new check cut for the difference on Friday. Me, Okay. Well, I'll start going over things with the new guy. Should I take him on any calls with me? Dick, no, he's a trained tech, just not used to our brand of equipment. Go over them with him. Show him the ins and outs, the software, networking them, programming things, the usual stuff we do to get a new machine set up. Me, okay, will do. Friday rolls up, and I'm sure you are all shocked to read that payroll did not have a check cut for me. Dramatic fanfare, dun, done. So I said fuck it and went home. Didn't even bother trying to call Dick. I knew I wasn't going to get an answer. I just turned my cell off. Monday comes, I don't go to the old job and sleep until noon. I left my cell off for the day and enjoyed the new job. Tuesday morning, I finally kicked my cell back on, and there's several voicemails and a couple texts from Dick. He's wondering where I am. Why haven't I showed up for 2 days? I calmly call him and have this conversation. Dick, finally. What the hell, where have you been for the last 2 days? I proceed to cut him off. Me, do you have a check for me? Dick, check? What are you talking about? Me, you know exactly what I'm talking about and you know exactly what you did. You fucked me just like you did for years and I let it happen. I thought I would help you out because I'm a nice guy and you spit in my face. We're done. Lose this number. Dick, we're not done. You still haven't signed the non-compete. Me. Seriously? You're being serious. You expect me to sign a non-compete after all this. Dick, you will or I'll sue you for breach of a verbal agreement. I have a recording of our conversation and a witness who heard you say you'd sign it. I transferred the cell number per our agreement and paid you for your time. I upheld my end of the bargain. I have no clue if any of that was true. If he did have it recorded, I'm sure it was edited to just the part where he agreed to the cell number and pay and of me agreeing to the non-compete. As for a witness, unless someone was listening through the office phone, there was no one else in his office when we talked. I have no clue if any of the bullshit he was saying was legal, but I did know one thing. He had sued the previous company we worked for over them verbally agreeing to pay for something, and he had also recorded them. I know it dragged on for about 2 years and was settled out of court. I think it was cheaper for them to just pay him than keep dealing his bullshit. Did I want any of that? Hell no. So I said, fine, leave it at the office, I'll be in to sign it. I wanted done with this insane man-child. Now you're all probably going, okay, the previous section is the compliance from the title, but where's the malicious part? Oh dear reader, I was never a strong believer in karma, but from what I've heard, she can be a cold, fickle bitch. And I assure you she does in fact come back to bite you in the ass with poetic justice and a sense of humor. A little over a year after signing the non-compete and being rid of Dick, I was enjoying my new job. I get a phone call from one of the last big customers I did a setup and install for a few months prior to me quitting. The customer, you ask? A women's abuse center that had converted an old building into a safe house for victims. Dick had managed to get the job to redo the interior network, furniture, camera systems, security doors, and the alarm systems. He had also sold them a service contract for the camera, security doors, and alarm systems where we were on call 24/7 for the next 3 years. If something went wrong and the site could not remain secure, we had to get it fixed yesterday. This was not a small chunk of change and it was due up front to get the best discount, but the abuse center had government backing, so they got Dick to agree to half up front and then payments after a year and a half. I knew the wording on these contracts because I had to give him worst-case timeframes for getting things fixed if shit hit the fan. This will be important later. Now, due to the nature of the client and job, I made sure my cell number had been laminated and I literally glued it to all 3 systems with instructions to call me if they needed anything. The reason they were calling is they had had some personnel changes and needed to change door codes. Not real secure if former employees can still access the building. They also wanted to set up remote camera access for new security monitoring purposes, and they needed to know how to do all of this. Now, if you read through the entire post, you know I had made some very detailed notes as well as instructions on how to do all of this. A set of all this, as well as all the credentials to log into the systems, was in a nice secure binder on site. One problem, they couldn't find it. Not to worry, I would have planned ahead and made backups of all that and kept it on my company laptop with approval from the customer, right? If you said yes, you get 5 points. If you're thinking this guy sounds seriously paranoid about this stuff and probably made another copy on maybe a disk or thumb drive, again, you would get another 5 points. I always kept a secure thumb drive on my keys and backed up this type of info religiously when I worked on jobs. You may distribute these points to whichever Hogwarts house of your choosing. I informed the client that I was no longer with Dick's company, and they would need to contact them directly to get this taken care of, and I bid them a good day. 2 days later, I get a call from my replacement asking me for help regarding this matter. Not wanting to be a complete asshole and knowing that the abuse center needed this resolved, I informed him that the droids he was looking for were in fact on the company laptop. They were hiding on the D drive in the folder called Backups. There would be a folder with the client's name and all info should be right there in front of him. He asks me to hold on while he gets it. I wait on the line while I hear him fiddling with the laptop bag and booting it up. New guy equals someone who was clearly not ready to take over everything I did. Me equals me. Face palming and head desk in disbelief. Dick equals someone who is about to be truly fucked. New guy. Okay, so I got it booted up and I don't see a folder called Backups. It's not in the documents folder. Is it somewhere else? Me no, not the documents folder, the D drive. New guy. The what drive? Me, okay, open up my computer, you should see the C drive and the D drive right next to it. New guy. Oh, there it is, hang on, a window popped up. It's saying an insert disk. Me. I'm sorry, it's saying what? New guy. It's saying please insert disk. Me, are you clicking the E drive by chance? New guy. No, there's only the C and D drive. Our more tech-savvy readers probably know exactly what's going on. Me, so, just to be absolutely clear, there is only drive C and drive D listed. No drive labeled E? That's what I'm hearing, correct? New guy, yes. Me, you didn't happen to reformat the laptop or anything like that? New guy, no, I only do copier/printer work. Dick's kid does the personal computer stuff. Me, can you tell me what the icon looks like in the bottom left corner? Is it round with 4 color square or is it 4 white squares? New guy, for white squares, why? Me, is Dick in the office? I'm gonna need to talk to him. New guy, no, he is out right now. Me, okay, please have him call me as soon as possible. I need to talk to him about this. New guy, okay. Now Dick's kid, Mini Dick, trust me, fitting name, was 15 years old when I quit. I had shown him some troubleshooting stuff and he knew enough to be very dangerous if unsupervised. I mention this because when I turned in the laptop, it was using Windows 7, round button, for colors. But now it was Windows 10, for white squares. There was a Windows 10 USB in the laptop bag. I was eventually going to upgrade it once I had made sure all the software I used was compatible. The pit of my stomach knew exactly what happened. Either Dick asked him to do something with the laptop after I turned it in, or he took it upon himself to upgrade it to show his dad he could do this stuff. Pick one. But I knew he had deleted the separated partitions I had made on the hard drive to keep the crucial data safe if Windows went tits up and I needed to restore or do a clean install and not have to worry about pulling the data. What Mini Dick had done was nuke the entire drive and all that backed up data was now gone. I get a phone call the next day first thing in the morning. Dick, I was told you need to talk to me? Is this about the abuse center? I told the new guy to handle it and call you. You always kept instructions for all that shit. Just tell him where it is. Me, oh, I already told him where to find the info, but there's a minor problem. It's gone. Dick, What do you mean gone? I know you kept backups. Me, I did. It was on the laptop when I turned it in. It is no longer there. Dick, what the hell do you mean it's no longer there? Did you remote in and delete it? I know you did stuff like that to fix things. You shouldn't have been able to that. I had Mini Dick make sure you couldn't. Me, oh, he certainly did that, but he also wiped out all the backup data. Dick, what? Me, I can't say I'm 100% sure that's what happened, but I'm like 99.99% sure that's exactly what happened. Dick, wait, you kept multiple backups. You told me that. That thing you had on your keys, you didn't give me that. Tell you what, you give me that and I won't pursue legal action since you didn't give it to me when you quit. Me, yeah, that's gonna be a no from me. Dick, the fuck do you mean no? You have to give me that you didn't turn in company property. I'll sue your ass. Me, first. That thing I had on my keys was my personal device, bought and paid for with my money, so I didn't need to give it to you when I quit. Second, I wouldn't give it to you even if I could. I destroyed it after I quit because of the shit you just said. I knew if I kept anything related to clients and you found out you'd try and sue me like the man-child you are. Third, the only reason I'm taking to you is because I want to help the abuse center. Not that you give a damn. Dick. Oh, this is bullshit, you're lying. Just you wait. I'm going to. Click no clue how many times he called me and texted. I just put my phone on silent and enjoyed the rest of my day. Now I'm sure many of you are probably calling bullshit. There's no way you remained that calm and said that. Remember, I worked for Dick for 9 years. I knew his habits. I had 2 days between the abuse center calling me and new guy calling me. I knew the new guy would need my help if he couldn't find the instructions I left. Lots of tech jargon involved, but it took me a week of mock building and tweak everything to get those systems set up exactly how the customer wanted it, and if he factory reset them to use the default credentials, well, enjoy doing it the very hard way. I had an entire day between Dick calling me back and talking to the new guy. I had a raging justice boner the entire time. I had his nuts in a vice and I knew it. Malice. Best served cold with a side of mint. Previously on this long-ass post, I signed a non-compete with old Dick Boss who pretty much fucked me over for 10 years and I moved on with my life. Dick Boss had a client that he needed my help with. Dick Boss threatens to sue me if I don't do what he wants. I hang up on Dick Boss and hatch a devious scheme. After hanging up on Dick Boss, I was heartbroken and felt that it was my responsibility. Nay, my duty to contact the abuse center and inform them of the situation. All joking aside, this could have actually put people in danger if not resolved somewhat quickly. I talked with the secretary and asked to speak to her boss. Luckily, it was the same woman in charge from when I installed the systems. She knew how much I cared and busted my ass to get things exactly the way they wanted it. Karma equals the big boss woman. Yes, irony. Me equals our valiant hero who only wishes to protect the innocent and maybe fuck over his old boss in the process. Dick equals former boss who done fucked up big time. Karma. Hello? Me, it's been a while. I understand you wanted to talk to me about the issues we need resolved with the system you set up for us. Me, I do. I wanted to inform you that sadly I no longer work for Dick's company. Karma. Oh, well, that's too bad. So why are you calling me if you won't be helping us get things fixed? Me? Well, I wanted to inform you of the entire situation along with reasons as to why I can't help and give you some options to get this resolved. I proceed to inform her of the non-compete, and all the following information is just my best guess, and I am offering up my opinion free of charge. She can choose to act as she sees fit. I let her know that Dick's company most likely does not have the credentials and documentation needed to perform the tasks she needs done. I can't say for certain though, wink wink. I inform her if Dick's company does not have the proper info, they may suggest resetting the equipment, and it will most likely take even longer to get things fixed, as well as their current setup being wiped out and only the factory codes will work. Also, the system will most likely not function the way they need it to. Again, I can't say for certain. Nudge nudge. I kindly remind her of the service contract she has on the equipment and to look carefully at the wording on it, as it may come in very handy. Say no more, sir. I let her know that I wish there was some way I could consult with her or help, but due to the non-compete, there is no way I can help her since she is currently Dick's client. I make several suggestions on how to possibly deal with the situation after reviewing some things and getting options. After all this, she thanks me for my time and said she was going to be busy the next few days. Now here is where all the malicious compliance comes to a head. I mentioned above for Karma to really look at that service contract for one major reason. The wording on her contract stated that if Dick's company was unable to resolve any issues the customer had within 3 days, then Dick's company was on the hook for any expense the customer incurred to work around said issues. Now, this was pretty standard wording on our service contracts, but they were mostly for smaller equipment and were worded as 2 business days. Basically, if company can't fix a printer or copier and customer has to go get things out, source company had to pay for it. Karma's contract was worded as 3 days due to the site being occupied every day and weekends had no visitors allowed. I knew this because when Dick was selling the contract, he had me talk it up in front of the abuse center's board. To me, worst case scenario meant the main systems all somehow got nuked. We'd be out same day to confirm DOA equipment and overnight new units that day. Again, worst case, it takes 2 days to get a system in on site. I drop it in place, reprogram, and boom, they're back up. The door systems all had emergency push bar on the inside, and the 2 inner steel doors had keys if power and backup power was dead. They were kept off-site for security. Now on to possible situations and solutions. Since they could not remove the old codes and enter in new ones for the personnel changes, this posed a security risk. To remedy this, Karma should hire outside security to be on site until the old codes could be deactivated. If company cannot get the system working soon, then Karma should contact the manufacturer support line and request an on-site technician to come out and fix it for them. I know what took me a week to do would probably take a certified tech a couple hours at most, since they know the systems inside and out. However, those techs are hellishly expensive and getting them on site quickly. You'd better get some lube and try to spread your cheeks for that incoming railing. If company cannot fix issues, then why did they sell the service contract to begin with? If they cannot service the equipment, Karma should get the contract canceled and try to get money back, since Dick's company did not support the products they said they would. I got a phone call 2 days later from Dick, who was surprisingly non-threatening to start. Dick, so me. I'm in a bit of a bind here. I need you to help me out with the abuse center. Me? What do you want me to do? I signed a non-compete and I sure as hell am not helping you for free. Dick, I thought about it and I can hire you as a consultant to go out and get things fixed for me so you're not competing. You'll be working for me. Me? And how much will you be paying me to consult? Dick, how does $150 a day sound? Me? $150 a day? I don't know, that sounds awful cheap to me. Dick, cheap? That's way more than you get at your new job. Me? You misunderstood me. I meant cheap for you. Dick, explain. Me? I'm just guessing it's probably costing you a lot more than $150 a day to pay for outside security around the clock at the abuse center. Dick, how did you? IT was you. I'm going to. Click. Phone rings again. I pick up to more screaming. Click. Phone rings a couple more times and I send it to voicemail. I think it was about 4 hours later he called me again. Me? Hello? Slight inflection of joy in my tone. Dick. Silence for maybe 10 seconds. How much? Me. Well, to be honest, I can't help you. Dick. What? Me. Obviously, I have to have a paper trail since I can't trust you, and for me to consult, I'd have to give you a detailed invoice that would list why and what I'm consulting for. However, due to the rather descriptive non-compete you made me sign that specifically states I may not services any of your clients for 3 years. My hands are tied, legally speaking. Dick. But, me, good luck with that. Click. I immediately blocked his number and laughed so hard I cried for probably 30 minutes. I don't think I've never felt that good. I got some details from the secretary at the abuse center. She was a chatty Cathy and loved drama. She talked my ear off when I did the install, so I called her a couple months later. Karma ended up having to get an on-site tech from the manufacturer to reset and redo everything. Not sure how long it took, but I know it wasn't cheap. On-site security was kept in place till the system was back up and running. Karma and the board went after Dick for all the contract money, the expenses incurred, the installation cost, equipment costs, even the legal fees. From what the secretary told me, he settled out of court. She didn't have an exact number or what all they got him for, but it was damn close to 6 figures total. I ran into several secretaries from other businesses I used to service and got even more details later that year. His tech quit and he ended up selling the service side of the business to a company over the mountain. He sold his local storefront and downsized to an office closer to his home and focused mainly on furniture installs. Just last year, I ran into one of the owners from back when I started as a tech. Him and Dick were friends. And according to him, Dick is out in Texas working at a furniture place while the wife/ex and kids are still in state. He used her name and I didn't bother asking the status. I genuinely didn't care. Why the fuck would you ever sign a non-compete? They can't force you to sign anything, especially not when you're literally leaving. Clearly, it didn't affect you too much, but you essentially closed a door for 3 years for no reason and no benefit. I'd say that was your main fuck up, way more than not getting it in writing. Again, I was tired, I was burnt out, I had zero fucks to give. My new job is totally different, so I could care less. I wanted done with the man-child. People of ill will make wrongful assumptions that people of good will are gullible, less intelligent, and made of infinite boundaries and limits. In short, they often wrongfully think they're rubes. Nope. We just enjoy playing nicely and doing our jobs well, ignoring the ill will, making sure everyone is taken care of who needs to be taken care of. Dick needed to be taken care of. Predictably, you did a damn fine job of it. OP.